Hey and welcome, I'm Hammeh, and with Overwatch's Anniversary 2018 event come a raft of new Overwatch pre-game hero interactions. These as always show little facets of the characters of our favourite Overwatch heroes, as well as reflecting and giving some insight into potential new story developments. With the help of you guys who support the channel, I found over 20 new ones, so I'm going to go through them all here. I'll do a few little bits of commentary on each, but save a bigger lore analysis for a separate video very soon. Now do let me know your lore theories, thoughts and favourite lines as we go through this. Do throw a subscribe to my channel if you enjoy it, it really helps me out. Alright, 20 interactions coming up and time codes in the description below if you want to skip to a particular hero. First up, a revelation about Lucio's sonic technology.
Lucio, I never realized your father was the one who invented Vishka's sonic technology.
The Cortec was his life's work. Owned and patented by Vishkar, but it's mine now.
So some Lucio lore for us, and of course we've previously understood from his bio, from conversations with Symmetra perhaps, that Lucio stole this tech from Vishkar and Symmetra wasn't very happy at him for it. What we didn't know was that it was in the family to start with.
Vishkar's using you, just like they used my father. Yeah, you just wait. You'll see.
Your father was a Vishkar employee. He understood our company's vision. A shame he never educated you.
But it's exciting to see a bit of Lucio lore development. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Next up, we've got a long overdue interaction between Mercy and Moira.
Describing your work as unethical would be a kindness.
But the true question is whether or not you can deny my discoveries. No, I didn't think so.
Moira giving as good as she gets there. Now it's interesting that Mercy doesn't actually deny, as it were, Moira's discoveries, so Moira's kind of made her point there, it seems. While we're on Moira, a quick conversation between her and Reaper about his condition.
Your condition seems relatively stable.
No one's accused me of that in a long time.
So Reaper's current state, or Rez's current state, labelled as a condition there by Moira. Lots of speculation about Reaper could come from that. I'll go in depth into that in a separate video. Lucio and Pharah having a bit of a chat here. Do you think they're talking about hockey or basketball?
What do you think, Pharah? Got time for a game?
After the mission, you're on.
And a very interesting interaction between Symmetra and a Doomfist.
Doomfist, you are mistaken. Only with order can humanity evolve.
Order, chaos, means to an end.
Now, if you combine this with the Lucio Mercy interaction about Vishkar's sonic tech, remember that Symmetra has a line with Lucio where she accuses him of stealing it, and he says, well, you should know where it came from, then we'll have a talk. Symmetra really doesn't understand what's going on with Sanjay Korpal, her boss, and who we've seen on the kind of High Council of Talon at the end of the Masquerade comic. So what will Symmetra do when she discovers that her handler, one of her Vishkar bosses, is actually a Talon member working with Doomfist to cause this chaos? A nice fun one between McCree and Orisa here. I love the idea of like Orisa, Cowboy Bebop, Han Solo, bounty hunter style. What do you reckon?
Jesse McCree, outlaw, reward, $60 million. The reward could make up for Ify's grant money.
Hey, come on now.
And next up, a little one with Symmetra and Hanzo, finding some common ground.
Order and discipline, that is the only way to live.
I sense a kindred spirit.
Moira and Pharah also have a chat about Helix Securities of all things.
Well, I must never worry about my safety when the brave agents of Helix are with us.
Don't be so sure about that.
And the next Moira one is just heartbreaking. I don't think she actually honestly means to get this reaction out of Mei. She's more interested in the scientific side, but you'll see what I mean.
Dr. Zhao, I'm interested in your colleague's research into the long-term effects of cryogenic freezing.
Oh, well, yes. I'm sure. Maybe.
Poor Mei, a little bit of a flashback to the events of Rise and Shine there.
Mei, is this where you were stationed before? Mei?
On a more philosophical note, Zenyatta has a couple of new lines. He talks to Symmetra about law and order, and he also has a chat with Orisa about the iris.
Symmetra, you speak of law and of order, but you must know that life is chaotic by its very nature.
To be lectured about chaos and disorder from a machine.
Tikafa Zenyatta, I wish to learn about the iris.
I would be happy to teach you. It is rare that I meet one with such an unformed mind.
Bit of a continuation of Genji trying to explain his dual nature to Zarya now. They do have one previous interaction on this topic, but Zarya is still very firmly of the belief that Genji is a machine and not a man, not a person she can trust.
How can I convince you that I am still a man?
I know what you are. I'm only sorry that you do not.
Now remember that in her recent comic Searching, Zarya, having worked with Link 17, having discovered from Sombra that Katya Volskaya was not telling her the whole truth, was very challenged in her beliefs and was certainly thinking a bit about her worldview. Clearly this hasn't extended to Genji right now, but who knows if it could change in future. A little bit of gentle smack talk between Doomfist and Reinhardt for the next one. I do love Reinhardt's put down to Doomfist.
You don't take a hint, do you, Reinhardt?
And you don't know how to stay down when you're beaten.
And as usual, Sombra's not keeping her nose out of other people's affairs when she talks to Pharah about the reason that she might not have been actually able to join Overwatch. Pharah, of course, isn't having any of it.
Pharah, ever wonder why you were never accepted into Overwatch? Almost like someone didn't want you to join.
Have you ever considered getting a new hobby?
A little bit of a sore topic for Pharah, certainly. Now, we're not 100% sure right now why she couldn't have joined Overwatch, but maybe we'll find out in future. Now, given that Doomfist has now got his suit that we saw in the Masquerade comic in his formal skin this event, he's clearly feeling rather dapper and wanting to dish out some fashion, some sartorial advice. McCree appears to be the one in his crosshairs for this.
You know, McCree, the winning side would pay much better. Maybe buy yourself some real clothes.
My clothes? Have you seen some of the things Talon wears?
And I absolutely love the interaction, as well as Doomfist thinking that he's clearly on the winning side and that the bad guys potentially pay better. I love Orisa's literalness in this next line, as well as trying to say to Junkrat that, hey, she's not cheap.
But dime a dozen. Actually, Ify spent most of her Adawe Foundation grant on me. It was not inexpensive.
Now, Orisa, in her ongoing sort of mission to learn about the world, has learnt or has taken inspiration from a lot of people. Reinhardt's skills, Zarya with her graviton surge, and of course Zenyatta for a little bit of spiritual guidance. She's looking for a bit of moral guidance here now from Tracer.
Tracer, is it wrong for us to operate outside the law?
That's a difficult question, Orisa. I think there are times when you just have to do what's right.
Now, there's a good reason that Orisa is asking Tracer this. Of course, Tracer and Winston, technically speaking, have been vigilantes. Overwatch activity in the present day of the timeline of the story and lore is currently outlawed under the Petrus Act, as we saw in Recall. So Tracer's decided that doing what's right sometimes maybe has to come above the law, so it'll be interesting to see what Orisa thinks of that in future. While we're on the subject of Tracer, she gives Ana a little bit of cheek here when Ana makes one of her wise pronouncements.
Youth truly is wasted on the young.
At least statistically, I've wasted less than most.
I guess with her ability to recall time, you couldn't really accuse Tracer of wasting too much of it. Alright, a huge one here potentially for speculation between Soldier and Moira.
You were a disgrace to Overwatch. If I had known what Reyes had been planning, I would never have allowed it.
It seems to me that it was convenient for you not to look too closely into Gabriel's business.
Huge! So Soldier calling Moira a disgrace. What was Gabriel Reyes, what was Reaper planning at that stage? Moira, was she on it? It sounds like it. Soldier saying he never would have stood for it. And then, of course, Moira there kind of coming to Reyes' defense and saying it was very convenient for you not to know what Reyes was up to as well. Kind of reflecting on the events of Overwatch Retribution there, this kind of plausible deniability that Jack Morrison and Gabriel Reyes had when Blackwatch went on missions. So lots of speculating to do that. I'll do that in a separate video. What do you guys think? Do let me know in the comments below. That feels like story progression towards finding out what went wrong between these two and why. Finally, a couple more. Well, as much as Zarya dislikes Omnics and wants to destroy them, she won't go so far as to do that with Junkrat, it seems.
I admire the way you deal with those bots. Wanna team up?
Not if you were the last human on Earth.
And Genji is pretty impressed by the speed at which Orisa learns.
My artificial intelligence makes it possible to learn from my experiences and from everything I observe.
One between Pharah and Ana.
Mom, don't you think it's time that you told Sam you're alive?
You let me worry about what your father needs to know.
Now, Sam was mentioned as being the name of Pharah's father by Michael Chu at BlizzCon 2017. We have seen him in the Reflections comic of the previous year, where he was having a chat with Pharah in Canada, and we've also seen him in the first Archives event of 2016, or Uprising as it was then. So as Anna is alive, Pharah of course has received a letter from Anna that we saw in Anna's origin trailer, so Pharah in the timeline knows that Anna is alive. It's going to be interesting to see how everyone else reacts in the Overwatch world when they realise that Anna is not in fact dead as presumed in the events of her comic Legacy. Pharah also tries to recruit Tracer to Helix Securities, the private firm of security contractors that she works for. Tracer's got other things going on though.
Tracer, have you thought about joining Helix? We could always use a good pilot.
Oh, I'm flattered. Really? But I have some other things occupying my time now.
And Pharah's keeping an eye on Soldier 76.
I'm keeping an eye on you, Soldier 76.
When have I heard that before?
Now, Doomfist is familiar with Symmetra's work, but Symmetra, again, like the previous line, isn't interested, seemingly, in working with Doomfist.
Symmetra, I am familiar with your work. I look forward to seeing it in person.
My purpose is to create order. You are the embodiment of chaos.
And just as I thought this video was wrapping up, I've actually found a whole another bunch of interactions. So here we go. Right, Doomfist and Hanzo. A little update on Doomfist trying to recruit Hanzo, and Hanzo's clearly not having any of it still.
You disappoint me, Hanzo. With Talon, you could truly fulfill your destiny.
Find another errand boy, Akande.
And one between Doomfist and Widow, where she just seems to be obeying the boss.
Watch my back out there, LaCroix.
Tell me what needs to be done, and I will do it.
Okay, so here are a few back and forths between Anna, Genji, Roadhog, Junkrat, Torb-Bastion, McCree. They're all sort of more self-explanatory, so I will just list these for you here.
Staying out of trouble, Genji?
On my best behavior, Captain.
Keep your stuff off the table.
I'm hurt. I am nothing if not a courteous house guest.
McCree, what happened to your arm? Well, always admired yours. Figured I'd get one of my own.
You know, Fariha, I could take a look at fixing up your suit if you'd like.
And mess it up with a bunch of scrap metal bolted on the side? No thanks, I like it the way it is.
Our courageous cowboy. The years haven't changed you much, have they, Jesse?
No, they certainly haven't changed my feelings about working with you.
Winston, you were never frustrated at the restrictions Overwatch placed on your research?
Of course, but sometimes a measure of caution is needed in a scientist. Overwatch had good reason to shut down your research.
I shouldn't be surprised at such a narrow opinion coming from a jumped-up ape.
Tekartha Zenyatta, do you believe that Overwatch should return?
I believe that we must all do our part to find solutions to the troubles that are before us. Genji, how was your reunion with your brother?
He is still not ready for time to flow forward again.
I hear that you have taken in an Omnic, Torbjorn.
I don't want to talk about it. Bastion, I bet you haven't had a systems check in years. Who knows what kind of weird behaviors you picked up?
Ah, you'd make a good barista, Bastion.
I believe that you could find peace if you were to search within yourself.
What is tranquility but stagnation?
Don't suppose you'd like to trade? Fists, I mean.
I don't think you could handle it.
Reinhardt, I have allocated my learning processes towards analyzing your combat performance.
What an odd compliment.
Reinhardt, why is your shield so important to you?
It is a reminder of my duty.
What is it like to have the chance to change the past?
Sometimes it doesn't want to change.
Thanks for tuning in. Throw a subscribe. Do comment with your favourite interactions and tell me any lore theories or thoughts you have, because I'm going to be doing a lore video delving deeper into these and the lore implications of them very, very soon. Check out the playlist for more Overwatch lore interactions and voice lines if you like these. Big thanks and shout out to my patrons on Patreon. And if you'd like to try and help me make more of this kind of stuff, check out patreon.com/Hammeh. There's some rewards there as well. Cheers for tuning in. I've been Hammeh. Take it easy.